multiple choice, several lots of advantages, versatility, its ability to recognize, you test examinee's ability to recognize, the ability to reason, ability to exercise judgment. So that is to say, multiple choice items could measure Bloom's level 1 to 6. And of course, 5 and 6 synthesis and evaluation would be very difficult, but not impossible. All right, so it could be done. All right, and it is relatively efficient in terms of number of items that can be presented in within a prescribed time and the space needed to present them. So not a lot of space, is that right? But of course, you may argue that essay even more efficient because only 6 or 7 questions. That's true. But and the answers are long. Is that right? The answers are long. Anyway, let's take a look at So scoring quickly and accurately, is that right? By hand, machine, by helpers, even students themselves, if arranged properly. All right. Okay. Now, one thing is that degree of homogeneity. Now, what is it? Well, that's one. If all the distractors are homogeneous to the correct answer, then this item becomes difficult. Okay, it becomes difficult. Okay, so degree of homogeneity could have a significant impact on the difficulty level of the item. Remember the 3-1 split in test wiseness, right? The 3-1 split is likely to make the item very easy, right? Now, and here is also a difficult one. So multiple choice items are very difficult to construct. Remember our earlier discussion. The first homogeneous distractor is somewhat easy, right? It's easy to construct that. The second is difficult. Okay. The third, extremely difficult. And in a 5 choice, the fourth is almost impossible. Okay. Very difficult to do that. All right. Okay. Now, guessing in multiple choice, it is say true false is 50%, multiple choice a lot less, right? In a 4th choice, multiple choice is 25%. In 5 choice, multiple choice, it is 20%, right? Right, but the true false, 50. Reliability, simply because multiple choice items have more alternative, and therefore it is much more reliable than true false. Right? Can provide diagnostic information if all the responses vary only in their degree of correctness. Yeah, some diagnostic tests are constructed in this manner. Okay, they are constructed in this manner. All right, students prefer multiple choice more than true false in general. Okay? In general, I mean, all those who have entered into formal operation, okay, they prefer multiple choice more than true false. And of course, multiple choice is most free from what response set, right? So true, false, you could have true all the way down, is that right? But in multiple choice, students or examinees are less likely to do that. And take a look at the disadvantages. Disadvantages is what causes it difficult to prepare. Just the sheer number of test items, say within an hour, say 50 to 60 items, right? And I mentioned what homogeneity, where's my mouse? Homogeneity of distractors. It is also very difficult to construct. As we go up Bloom's taxonomy ladder. Okay, now this is the reason why most multiple choice items test rote memorization or recognition. Say they are at level 1 of Bloom's taxonomy, because it is a lot easier to construct, okay, or to find homogeneous distractors at the knowledge level. So therefore, there is a strong tendency for both teachers and the professors to write multiple choice items demanding only factual recall. So because of what here, homogeneity of distractors, and also it's easier to construct multiple choice items at Bloom's level 1, level 2. But then as we go up on Bloom's taxonomy ladder, it becomes very difficult. So at application, you have to set the item in a novel situation, right? So it's difficult. Analysis, very difficult. Synthesis, extremely difficult, or sometimes not possible, depending on the domain, depending on the topic. Evaluation, difficult, right? So that's the reason majority of the multiple choice items are at Bloom's level 1. Only a small percentage at level 2. Okay, level 3 a few, okay, and so on. All right. Okay, so that's what that we have a strong tendency for teachers to do that. Okay, say time required to respond to one item. So among all the objective tests, okay, multiple choice, more time, okay, then short answer, then matching, then true false. Okay. In general, this is true. Performance in multiple choice tests. All those who are test-wise, like all of you, not much, but then significantly better than those non-test wise, especially if the test is not properly constructed. Right? High risk taking means what? Means an inclination to guess. Okay? So the performance of all these examinees taking high risk better than conservative students who are unwilling to guess. Okay, who are unwilling to guess. Okay, even under what penalty, under penalty say you will be penalized if you guess. Even under this condition, high risk taking students outperform the conservative students. Okay, and of course there are lots of reasons. Okay, but then take my management course and I will explain. Okay, all those skillful in recognizing ambiguity, That is to say, one very similar to the test wiseness cases, right? If students could recognize ambiguity, recognize what spelling mistake, grammatical mistake, they are likely to outperform those ones who are not skillful in this regard. However, all these here, they have nothing to do with what content matter. Is that right? So therefore, decrease what reliability because the fact is not related to content mastery or achievement. Okay, so that's okay. Factors to consider. The essence of the problem should be in the stem. For example, the stem should consist of a statement that contains a verb. Nice. So this is what. Then what the reliability of this type of test item. This type of test item will be a lot better than what? Than if we have something like this, okay? Say item 1 here, okay? Okay. This is not good. This is not good. So the essence should be here. That means the stem should contain what more information, so that what the examiner read this and what will understand each one of them a lot better. All right. Now avoid what? Avoid repetition of words in the options. Okay, as this tends to increase reading time. Okay, if possible, move these repetitions to the stem. All right. So what I mean by that here, I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example. I say here. Say you have the stem here, okay? Then you have A. Okay. Let's say what? All right. Now I want to, let's say here. Okay, this thing here appears here. All right. So that's repetition of words in the option. These are what? Repetition. So don't do this. Okay, don't do this. It is better what and what. Move this. Okay, move this in the stem. All right, so that what examiners would have to read it just once and then what evaluate this and what follows here. All right, so that's what. That's avoid repetition of words in the options. Avoid excessive wording. Right? Parsimony. The KISS principle. Right? So as not to increase reading time unnecessarily. And then besides, making things simple, concise, and to the point. Right? So that to impart clarity to the item. Now, when the incomplete statement format is used, the option should come at the end of the statement. Should come at the end of the statement. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Right? What is that? When the English statement use the option, okay. Well, let's say here you have the stamp here. All right. If incomplete, fill in the blank. See, this here, and that one, this here. Okay, of course you have one. A, B, C, D. This is not good. Okay, because well, the examiner will have to do this. Read this. All right. So it takes longer time, but then the good thing is that you could do this here. That one here, that's the blank. Okay. So incomplete statement or fill in the blank. Okay. It should come in, and because what here, the examinees have gathered enough information to even suggest a guess of this one. Then we'll take a look at right? Instead of this here, put it here. Okay, then what? Put it here, then read it again. Okay, that type of thing. All right. Okay. Well, arrange what alternative as simple as possible, not as simple, as simple as possible. So, what should we pay attention to now? Do this what for your assignment? Okay. Well, let's say what here, the alternative here. Let me do this. What is it? What is it I want to do? Okay. Alphabetical. If you have a single word, a single word, or a short phrase, arrange them in alphabetical order. For single words, for a short word phrase, for numerical, or a data, anything concerned with numbers, then you have what? Ascending or descending order, right? Either ascending or descending. You must do this, okay? Because if you don't do that, you may give away what unintended clues to the examinees. All right, and what? And also, if not this, then the length. That is to say, say this one, or the length is like this. This one should be longer. Is it longer? This one longer, or vice versa. If you want this one longer, this one shorter. But then length. So if you do this, follow this here for all multiple choice test items, you are what? Then you are less likely to give away unintentional clues to the examinees. All right. So, okay. Avoid highly technical distractors. All right. Because examinees may be unfamiliar with the term or with difficult vocabulary, so that so if you include say difficult vocabulary, you're likely to make the item unnecessarily difficult. Right? It's not that the examinees don't know the answer, but then the examinees may be confused by the difficult words. Right? Okay. Now, all responses should be plausible and homogeneous or homogeneous. Homogeneous to avoid giving students evaluation or test-wise net cues. Right? Avoid making the correct answer consistently longer than the incorrect one. Remember test-wiseness, okay? Length. There is always a strong tendency or a need for the item writers to use what qualifying words or to provide more context to impart clarity to the correct answer or to ensure its correctness. Okay, but then what most item writers won't be bothered with doing this for what? For the distractors, right? Number 9, the option I don't know, right? In formative test only. Formative test only to guide instruction to modify or for modifying instructional strategies, but not in what summative test. Number 10, only one best answer, not only one correct answer or one best answer, but to avoid any future argument, put down what best answer. Okay, so sometimes you may inadvertently put another correct answer, but then what is not the best. But just to avoid later argument. Okay? Avoid using all of the above, because if this is the correct answer, it makes the item a lot easier, right? Say A is correct, B is correct, and E is all of the above. Then what you give the clues saying what C and D are the same as A and B, that type of thing. So it is easier. On the other hand, none of the above, none of the above serves to lower guessing as well as to make the item more difficult and more discriminating. More discriminating is good. By that I mean what? If an item has good discrimination, it discriminates between the students who know the answer and versus the students who don't know the answer. Right? So an item with good discrimination can separate the good students from the bad students. Right? Use 3 to 5 options. Of course, you have to consider the age of the children and the nature of the materials. For young kids, the truth asked is good, but then if you resort to multiple choice, say 3 choices for young kids, as they grow older, 4 choices that are for high school students, say grade 9 and above, 5 choices, 4 or 5. Okay. Now, avoid overlapping option. Avoid overlapping option. So, how do we do that? Okay, let me give you an idea. Let me get another one. Okay. Now, say you ask say item 1 here, you ask a question, and then let's say less than 104 kilogram. Okay. Less than 110. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's take a look here. If the correct answer is what? If the correct answer is 103 kilograms, then this is right. This is right. It moves, right? But if the correct answer is what? 121 kilogram. If that is the case, and what? This is right. This is right. All right. So do not what? Do not avoid what overlapping options, especially in what mathematics, or especially if you use what relation statements. Okay, less than, more than, that type of thing. Okay, so be careful. All right. Okay, cast the item in a novel situation to measure a higher mental process, to measure what, say, application, okay, and an analysis, synthesis. You want a lot of time. You need to cast the item in a novel situation in order to measure Bloom's taxonomy from free and up. Free is what? Application, right? Avoid asking for opinion. There is no true answer. Okay, no, it's just opinion. Okay, don't do that. Okay, all right. We just discussed this. Okay, none of it about. Now, vary the placement of the correct response to avoid or to overcome the problem with the old adage. You remember that? When in doubt, pick C. Okay, so what do? How you want to make sure you have what? About equal what? Say let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. You have about 25% correct answers A, 25 here, 25 here, 25 here. Not exactly, but then, wow, you may have 22 here and 27 here, and so on. All right, that percent. So that you don't give away any clues. Okay. Avoid the use of specific determinants. We discussed this, right? Probabilistic, likely to be what? Likely to be true. Okay. Deterministic, likely to be false. Is that right? So remember this. Okay, remember this. Okay. I said for one multiple choice. Okay, so when you construct multiple choice test items, you must pay attention to all this here, as well as what test wiseness, all the information we discussed in the test wiseness lectures. Okay, thank you.